What is up, guys? I already made it to 1600 points in Master Rank in SoloQ this season in just 6 days. I want to just talk a bit about a few SoloQ tips for you guys and on what you guys can do to, win those SoloQ games. You can see right here, 1600, 1600 points. I'm already top 500 as well as a pure SoloQ only player. This is my win rate, 112 games, 68.7% win rate, so it's going quite well, and these are my most played Pokemon. Delphox, I feel like, is my most confident carry. As soon as I play Delphox, I know I can almost try to carry all of my games. Zoroark, I had a lot of success with as well this season. Currently, for some reason, 12-0, haven't lost a game on it, and even though, I think it's very hard to close out late games with this Pokemon, it can just snowball games very hard, right? Early, mid-game is crazy. Charizard, I just want to play some Charizard again just because he kind of came back into the meta, and some Urshifu. But if you look at my most played Pokemon across the entire season, I pretty much play everything. You can see Defender, Speedster, Attacker, and the only thing that's missing are kind of supports. But even I played some Comfey, I played some Eldegoss, right? I played some Clefable. Because you don't know, you can actually request Pokemon in my live stream for like gifting a sub or subscribing to the channel. You can actually request a Pokemon. So I pretty much play anything. So, just as a general thing, you don't have to focus on playing one Pokemon to climb necessarily, but of course, the less Pokemon you play, the easier the climbing will be. But I think the main part is just having fun. I think if you want to climb, fun should be the biggest factor in it, because as long as you're having fun, you're enjoying the game, and your ment is going to be so much better that you can actually win more games, as dumb as it sounds, right? As long as you're having fun, you're going to play better. So play Pokemon you enjoy playing as well. Of course, you don't have to play necessarily the meta, but playing those meta Pokemon will, of course, make you have much more success, right? Like playing Delphox for Central Area, playing Espeon every game as well. You're going to have a much easier time to climb as well. But as long as you're having fun, everything is also quite fine. And then what do I do different from other players when it comes to playing SoloQ? I think what's very important is having map awareness, right? Having game understanding. You always want to be ahead of your opponents by one single step, so understanding what your opponents are about to do and then counteracting it is very important. I always check my minimap. Every few seconds I look at my minimap as much as I can to make sure I can read it, understand how someone might be rotating, because if someone you see a red dot leaving the minimap, he might rotate top, or he might rotate to bot path if you just see him slightly on the minimap for some reason, or one of your allies was scouting it out. It's very important to read your enemy's movement. I think that's the biggest part on why, I feel like I have very good game understanding and game flow to know what my opponents are going to do next. And this is just something I can play around. This was actually the stream meter, was an insane hit by the enemy Gengar right here. The next important thing is using Unite move as good as you can, right? Unite moves have the biggest impact in Unite, and as long as you have good Unite move usage, you're going to get much more value. So for a very important team fight, you want to keep it. You don't want to just waste it randomly somewhere. You want to make sure it gets value. It either gets a comeback KO, so if you're behind, you're going to use your Unite move to get a comeback KO, or to win an objective, right? Straight up. Either you win an objective, it allows you to get a big score in, or it's comeback experience. So when you're ahead, use it for objectives, use it to score 40-50 points. If you know you can Unite move right here and get 2 or 3 knockouts or 1 and you can score 40-50 points, that is totally worth it, right? If you're behind, I always like to use my Unite move for either comeback experience, right? If I see the enemy Pokemon that's over leveled, I will try to use my Unite move on that Pokemon to make sure I get myself 1 or 2 levels back in experience. Because experience is the most important thing, right? This game doesn't have in-game items. Your in-game items and your in-game gold from other MOBAs, it's your level experience, right? The higher level experience you are, you get tankier, or your moves do more damage, your auto attacks do more damage, and in general, your Pokemon just does so much more the higher level you are. That's why experience is so important, and farming experience is also important. Don't walk into fights you can't win, right? That's something I see a big mistake that a lot of people do, which I try not to make, is walk into team fights that you cannot win. It's completely pointless doing that. So if you know this team fight, you're lacking Unite moves, and your team is fighting for this Regieleki up, but you're like, no, we can't fight this Regieleki, just farm your buffs, farm all the NDDs, defend golds, maybe look for a push yourself onto a second goal as well, because people like to overextend for Regielekis and stuff. When it really doesn't do out too much, it's quite easy to defend, especially if you have Unite move up and then we try to push with Regieleki. That's your comeback experience, right? If they overextend, you have Unite move up, it's very easy to take down your opponents under your second goal when they push with Regieleki. So what I want to say is, you just have to play smart. That's the main thing I want to talk about. It's just, you have to play smart. Also, if you die a lot, it's very bad. Because if you die, it means you can't farm experience. It means you leave your teammates alone for them to do stuff you don't want them to do, right? you're kind of like a caretaker sometimes, you know, like kind of a babysitter. If you go down, if you're not there, you know, they might just do something crazy that you're not aware of, and you cannot do anything because you're gone, right? You have a 15-second death timer. You just have to watch your team do things that you can't fix for them. That's also very, very important to realize that if, as you know, early game dying is not too big of a deal because early game experience doesn't matter too much. But in mid and late game, if you go down a lot, it's going to be very, very bad for you. And just try not to overextend too much. You have to still find a good balance between aggressive, though, because if you're ahead, you need to be aggressive. You have to have like a safe aggression, right? Because if you take down the first 2 goals, then the enemies can free farm, right? They can take all the NDDs forever. So if you have a lead, you still have to use that. I hate when like you have a lead and people just suddenly do nothing anymore. You have to do something. You have to either take the NDDs, you have to take their buffs before the 5-minute mark hit, before the jump pads up. You can look for a second goal push. Very, very important. You go for those as well, but don't overdo it. If your Unite move is on cooldown, then you can chill, right? If you got an objective for free, you push, you use Unite move, you maybe get something in, your Unite move is gone, and the enemies are getting Unite moves now. You want to leave. You know, you want to keep the lead, of course, throughout the entire game. Make sure, again, you do as many less mistakes as possible, because honestly, every MOBA is just the team that does more mistakes is going to lose, right? Straightforward. If you keep your mistakes at a limit, I also do mistakes. It's impossible to not do a single mistake. Everyone will do mistakes, but the few mistakes you do, you know, the higher chances of you winning these games just increases by an insane margin. And then the last thing as well that's very important for SoloQ is not tilting. Like, I would say I do get mad and I do get upset, but like it never affects my gameplay, right? Like, it doesn't matter how bad a game looks, I will try to win it. I don't necessarily surrender vote unless my team is literally not playing the game and there's like walking around in base and stuff, then I don't have to play it out. But in general, it doesn't matter how bad a game looks, because I know I can farm back experience. And even if our game is looking super bad, almost every game I will be level 13 or 14 at Rayquaza, just because I know how to farm experience. And I know how to come back into games. It's very important to come back into games, because that race is always a huge factor for you to just win a game straight up, right? So don't hit. I know it's easy to say, but don't let your bad teammates influence how you think about the game and how it, you know, can affect your mental. Just play the game. If your Talonflame dies over and over and over and over again, nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do about it is your character and trying to somehow maybe make something happen in exchange, right? Just don't be AFK. Always try to look for things as well, and just, you know, go for something. I think that's just like one of the most important things, because there's so many games that I still win. I feel like I should have never won, just because I try to stay in the game mentally and focused and try my hardest to still win these games. This game as well, Duraludon, my team was actually quite good. So in this game, it was actually quite straightforward. This was my game for 1600 points. So of course, I want to showcase this. Duraludon actually quite decent as well still in the current meta, if you want to just have like a very basic attacker Pokemon that doesn't really take a lot of thinking. It's just very straightforward actually to play for a Pokemon. And also it's very good objective secure. Another thing is that I want to talk about is just pick the right Pokemon. Okay, so if your team already consists of 3 attacker Pokemon, don't pick a 4th attacker Pokemon, okay? Pick an all-rounder, pick something maybe that has engaged. You can pick a damage defender like Blastoise, Trevenant, or Lapras. Those are totally fine as well. Just try to at least salvage it a bit. I would not recommend necessarily playing a healer Pokemon, because healer Pokemon will not carry. They will only carry if your team is actually, you know, the better team. Then it for sure works. If you for some reason know your team is going to be better, you can for sure pick a healer Pokemon and do totally fine. And if not, yeah, just stay away from it. Also pick Pokemon according to your lanes. Like if you can already see someone went to bot path with, like, let's say a Gardevoir, don't pick another bad early game Pokemon. Pick something strong. Pick maybe a melee as well, so you're not double attacker on bot path. Like pick, like, you know, some last hitting on Machamp, or pick Lapras or something, or again Trevenant, you know, pick something that is a bit stronger in early game, so you don't have to suffer through laning phase, because laning is currently very important. Hope this video was helpful to you guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe.